Good afternoon, folks. Or good morning, I guess. Well, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Right now, I'm in Atlanta, so it's kind of the morning. I'm also joined here by Aggro, so it's always the morning. Console League action coming at you today. We're going to take a look at FableGG take on Revenge. Should be a refreshing look. Last time we saw Fable, they were just doing it at LAN.
Yeah, they had a really good LAN performance, I think. Not for how low their expectations were coming into LAN, I think they exceeded those. And this is where you kind of want to grow on that momentum, right? Take that LAN performance, learn from it, and try and improve and continue to be one of the best teams in Europe.
As we said, that's the live game we're going to take a look at, but of course the console league much bigger than that. So let's zoom out and look at the schedule for the entirety of what is the console league. Astral Authority takes against Flashpoint, and RvL will play against European powerhouses off stream, and then today FableGG and Revenge.
And then in the NA game, it's FableGG versus Elevate. Not the same team. Fable's got NA and EU. We're going to show EU first, of course.
Yeah, that one's going to be certainly something to take a look at. Now, as the world turns, the split continues to go forward. Summer has been very interesting. We already saw everybody come to LAN in the springtime, but now here in the summer, as we said, we're starting in Europe, so Fable, unfortunately, is starting on the ground. Revenge will be right above them. So a battle of the bottom here today as we look at the European squads.
This is critical because top two is obviously where you want to get to in the Smite Console League, and starting off 0-2, not a great start to this FableGG squad, but still early. I mean, anytime you play RvL, it feels like you're starting off in a hole early on, and they have played RvL, I believe, so this is an opportunity for them to turn it around and look a little bit better.
Well, let's get right into picks and bans and see where these teams wind up on the battlefield and see if they're able to topple each other. Fable will have the first pick and the first ban, and Revenge will be on the right side with the response selection. So first and foremost, healers have been the very exciting point for a lot of people studying the console and the PC League as well. RvL the first ban, defying my entire first talking point.
He has healing in his kit. What do you mean?
That's fair. You know what? That's totally fair. Not a traditional healer, but he does bring a lot of disruption. And this god seems to come in and out of the meta on a lower level, kind of Poseidon-esque, independent of the meta. People just decide to go for him.
Yeah, I think RvL has been undervalued for a while now. I think that he brings so much CC, plenty of damage alongside it, that I'm never upset when I've got an RvL on my team. But I think that RvL first ban here for Fable is much more about what Revenge likes to play on the other side. And this is what you'll see from these smaller leagues, only 4 teams, that you've got an opportunity to really become intimate with the other teams. Like, you know everything about what they play, you know, what they talk about during their games. You learn all of that very, very quickly. And so the RvL ban is just a respect ban for Revenge.
The rest of the bans also in that direction. I think Achilles and Giannis are sort of evergreen. You can always ban those characters, and ain't nobody going to get mad at you in your lobby. But the Cabrakan, if you ban Cabrakan pretty much out of nowhere, people are going to be scratching their heads.
Sure.
So Revenge banning away the Cabrakan, ton of control, specifically against Fable. Revenge go Athena Poseidon, and Fable answer back with a Chibalanke.
Really, really strong draft from Fable thus far. If they top this off with the YRNGino, they'd be in a really nice spot. But they'll go for a different sort of healer, less for the team and more for himself in the Hercules. This does still make Odin, I think, very, very appetizing for Revenge. I mean, you've got 3 gods that can't get out of Odin Cage and that have, will struggle with their own individual healing, and that's where Revenge will go. I really like Revenge's first 3 picks in response to Fable's first 3, but in a vacuum, Fable's first 3 are stronger.
My question here is the Hercules into the Poseidon. I mean, you're picking a character who depends on his movement ability into a cripple. Now, Poseidon cripple is always kind of like looked at as half because you can get out of it if you're quick enough.
Sure.
Is that the mentality?
I think so. It's also about whenever you press 3 and then get Krakened, it feels really good because then you get a huge burst of healing after that. I think it's more about trying to get through that Kraken damage than necessarily using Driving Strike in the middle of a whirlpool.
Your powers are mine.
Second round of bans leaves Nemesis open, so Revenge will go in that direction. No Raijin, no Daji, says the Red Squad, and Fable going to take away Serket and the Osiris. Discordia will be in the mid lane most likely for Fable unless they go absolutely off the wall.
I like this Discordia pick. It gets out of Odin Cage. You can use that little erratic behavior to get up and over Krakens at times if the whirlpool isn't there. Bastet is a little bit more interesting. It again gets out of Odin Cage, but that is a god that I'm more worried about that cripple being impactful against than the Hercules necessarily. Having to use Pounce to get in and out is critical to what Bastet wants to do at all times. With the whirlpool there, that makes it a lot more difficult.
Bastet into Nemesis is also very interesting. With as many slows as Bastet has, it can even catch up to Nemesis. But I like characters with crowd control to get rid of the shield. We'll see if it works out for Fable as they opt for the Catwoman in the jungle. Fable versus Revenge. Game 1 coming at you right now.
Auzrik piloting that selection for Fable. And this is the same Fable roster that we saw come to LAN overall. Whereas on the other side for Revenge, a lot of names that you should probably be at least semi-familiar with. I'm looking at Gnome in the solo lane. I mean, he was on that RvL squad forever. That's why he still has RvL in the name. Mango as well has been around the scene for a long time. Even guys like LingXiaoWho and XuenMushh, those are kind of mainstays of the European console scene. So it doesn't surprise me that these two teams are, pretty similar in record. Obviously not exactly where they want to be, but overall, 0-1 for Revenge, 0-2 for Fable. I think both these teams are a little bit better than that, and I think that we're in for a pretty close game here.
As you said, Auzrik, the lone member of... People are going to forgive me on this one. Was it Excel or Excellence? Because for some reason...
Just don't start with that.
I confuse those two teams occasionally.
I wonder why.
But no, when they shortened their names, it was easier to understand. Excel shortened to EX, capital X, and Excellence shortened to EX, lowercase x. So
much better.
What a wonderful part. Anyway, Auzrik was on one of those teams with the other 4 members of RvL. And they were very exciting. But all 4 of them got picked up by RvL, and Auzrik just said, "What about me?" And Rapio said, "Who?" And Auzrik was left here with Fable. And now teaming up with Waldrom, who's a strong player in his own right, and trying to create a unit around him. It's tough, because I think Auzrik was kind of the head of that old group with Dinosaur, and now he's got to do it again. That's rough.
I mean, it is, but that's the competitive scene, right? Yep. You start a team, and you either get good enough to get picked up elsewhere, or your teammates do, or you quit. That's kind of the way, or you stick together and become really good all on your own, and that's very rare, but it does happen.
Or you scrub out and start casting.
That is also an option. One that I took very, very quickly. That's the nature of the beast. So it's something that it hurts sometimes, but you gotta just let it happen and do your best to make do with what you got. And what Auzrik has on this team is a pretty solid roster overall. I mean, Killy and Davey both had really awesome lands overall. They had a lot of fun here, and I think that's a huge part of it. I mean, when I think of this team at LAN, I think of Davey just yelling against the NA teams, being all excited for playing against them, making big plays while playing against them. So I think Fable, like I said, didn't have a lot of expectations going into the Masters LAN, did better than I think most people thought they were going to, and then RvL won the LAN anyways, so their whole region feels a little bit more validated in their skill level. So I think that all of those can combine to be a good start now for Fable in this summer split.
I mean, you talk about the region feeling elevated. I mean, this is the first time that Europe has ever actually won anything versus the North American bros over there in console land. And that is a very, very interesting and exciting thing if you've been a fan of the console league, especially. You guys notice that the minor inbound and the boys are going back to console. That's just going to make it that much more exciting. Will North America be able to bounce back in the grand scheme of things? So many different storylines going down.
It's an awesome time to be a Smite console fan, for sure. It's just a matter of who is going to be the top dog outside of RvL in Europe. And in North America, it's much more open right now, especially with Astral Authority's poor start to the summer split. I believe they're 0-2 right now as well.
Oof. Not a good look for Astral Authority. How the mighty have fallen, man. Real quick, I know we're watching Revenge and Fable, but what do you think led to Killy in trouble here? What led to that? Well, it was a taunt from XuenMushh, trying to invade the purple buff over here, and last hit going to be successfully taken by Fable. Nice defense there. So I guess a quick question was, what happened to Astral?
To be honest with you, I think it's a lot to do with attitude for them. I think that they have had struggles historically as individuals with staying focused and being in the right mindset for competitive play, and I think that continues to plague them now, and it's kind of caught up to them a little bit. I also think NA has just gotten better. Yeah. I think that NA as a whole has gotten a lot better. The players that once were on the cusp of the SCL or not even considered for SCL are now good enough to go toe-to-toe against those guys, and That's kind of it's a tough moment where the old guard is trying to hold on to their dominance from yesteryear, and they feel like they should still be the best, but in reality, it's just not happening for them.
Mid lane, Discordia getting gressed on by the Nemesis, but a quick little dash away. The biggest digestible piece I think that you just talked about, Ryan, is that North America is getting better. Everyone's getting better.
Yes,
and that's very that can be very scary and concerning for players like Auzrik that are sitting there like, well, everybody's getting better, and am I getting better? Trying to make a statement here. Level 5 on the Catman. Left side. Nice stun coming out from the support player. Double dots! And Auzrik is the first one to make his mark in game number 1. First blood going to Fable. Can't find the follow-up, but 1, good enough, because 2 comes across the map. The solo kill in the solo lane. ChronicThe bros lighten up Gnome.
And this is the exact point that I was just talking about, where the old guard is trying to hold on to their spot, and the new players are showing up and saying that not only can they compete, but they might just be better.
Yeah.
You know, a year ago, you're telling me that Gnome is getting soloed by a dude named ChronicThe bros? Are you serious? But that's been the way that Season 5 has gone so far. Chronic has looked pretty good in that solo lane. His team has had some success. And where has Gnome been? You know, it's a different league now.
That's what I really enjoyed about seeing the European squad win. I don't get caught up in the NAEU hoopla. Like, I think that is it's fun if you want to follow that. It's fun to follow the double taunt. Here's the ultimate coming out of Mango as well. Damage from the sky, can't find Killy. So Revenge will not get the kills, but it looks like they will successfully get the purple invades. XuenMushh with the upside there. Less about EU and NA rivalry and just more about watching a team that had 5 nobodies on it become the de facto #1 squad in about a year and a half. That's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun so far, and I think that they are the #1 right now in Team Rival, of course, but I don't think they're so far ahead that they are untouchable going into the summer split, and that's also exciting, right? That you have an opportunity now to see what they could do and what other teams can learn from them and take it to them. Now, I think that Rival is an untouchable #1 in Europe right now, but not in the global scene overall.
And that's even more exciting. And if you're a competitor, you understand the idea that, all right, we're really good, we're at the top. Where do we go from here? That's never, if you're a competitor, if you're competitive enough to find yourself in a professional league, I mean, Ryan, you can test this, being #1 is not good enough. You want to see how #1 you can be. Nice avoid of the taunt there. Auzrik really playing hot.
Definitely. You definitely don't want to, you want to leave no doubt in anyone's mind that you're #1, and it isn't even close. You want to basically embarrass whoever you're up against every single week, and even at that point, it isn't enough until you secure that world title. I mean, ask Astral from last year, right, where they win every LAN except for Worlds and didn't like it.
Auzrik jumps back, does have some help from the teammates. Not going to be enough. As the Jingwei player takes him down. 1 kill going the way of Revenge. Like the way they played that, Bastet jumped on top of the mid laner, and everybody waited for her to jump back into it.
Would have been much better for Auzrik to just stick with where he pounced to, instead decides to bounce back, and just a sick body block by Mango, who was looking to steal away the speed buff after that kill on Auzrik, but just wasn't up quite in time. Actually body blocked Auzrik into that airstrike coming out from Gino. That was nice.
Clean stuff, honestly. That's really what that was for me from Revenge. That was clean. They saw what the Bastet was doing, and they immediately put themselves in a position to take advantage of it. Like the heads-up play there coming out from Revenge. Just 8 minutes in here, folks, early on today on our Console Monday. But Fable leading this one in both gold and the kills. Killy being an interesting pick. Love the Terra. I think Terra has been very, very strong. But the question that I have about this Fable draft is, will a lack of crowd control be a problem going forward, Aggro?
It certainly could be. I mean, there's some mobile characters on the side of Revenge. Usually, lacking crowd control, it hurts you, but if it's a bunch of Zeuses and Zhonghuis and gods that can't really get out of it, like Auzrik couldn't get out of that taunt into Kraken, set up and Mango actually somehow snatches that kill. That's a problem, but it's not so bad. But there's so much mobility on the side of Revenge that I think that could really come back to bite them, yeah.
ChronicThe bros with a nice little ricochet onto Mango. Going to be taunted. 1 versus 3. Still doesn't seem to care. Nice block from the Terra. Gonna force the ultimate out of Xuen. And Killy will get the kill on XuenMushh. Dominant play with the rock.
Man, that's 2 body blocks on 1 on each side now that have been really, really impressive thus far. And that's the mark of a good Terra player in my mind. You can hit your 2s all day, but how much can you use that second ability to prevent someone from going where they want to go with the actual structure of it? And Killy showing it off there.
Really clean. That's, like you said, that's that next level for Terra. I apologize. I don't think ulting with Terra is difficult. I think you just push the button and win the team fight.
More often than not, I'd agree with you, yes.
But that next level, like you said, the additional control that she brings is very, very important. Especially, as I noted, the Bastet just not going to have the crowd control. Xbalanque, now, Hunters aren't your crowd control bot, but there's usually some sort of CC on the way of Hunters. You don't have traditional CC outside of the slow for Xbalanque, but I think you'd argue that Darkest of Nights is at sometimes better than a stun.
Oh yeah, give me Darkest of Nights over a stun any day of the week. Give me Darkest of Nights over a knockup most of the time. I mean, that ultimate's just incredible. It shuts down communication so well, and that's what's really difficult at a pro level is that, you know, if Killy's saying, hey, big stun right here, Chronic says, yo, I've got 2 with this push-pull, and you just aren't close enough to see where that is, you're kind of lost and can't follow up off of that. And it saves teammates more often than a stun usually would, or a knockup even usually would, because you can pre-beads those things. Nothing to do against Darkest of Nights. You are holding that blindness for a while, and then you have to do the little stutter step to prevent yourself from getting stunned off the Darkest of Nights, and that is, at this level, often good enough follow-up, even that half a second where you have to stop moving.
There's a trick with your back button, right? It's
yes.
on B by default. You can just slap that real quick for an instant stop, but even then, big enough window. Reformed Mango looking for a window of his own here, dashing on the jungler, but will get surprised. I don't think he wanted Bastet to come down that hallway, so he's going to be forced out of that one. But yeah, Darkest of Nights, it's interesting. I think a lot of things in Smite have a bigger impact at the lower level than the higher level, and I think Darkest of Nights is one of the few that operate the other direction, down to up. LingXiaoWho with the double kill on the Poseidon. It's so hard to like get overexcited for those because it just looks so textbook.
It's just so easy. Athena Poseidon, man, it's a great combo and always has been, probably always will be. Double beads there forced by XuenMushh. Mango in some trouble trying to get the chase down, and Gino will secure it, but Auzrik's cats do the dirty work onto Mango. Won't prevent this Gold Fury from going down in favor of Revenge as Gino notches himself a double.
What a fantastic just sequence coming out for Revenge. Might lose their support player if Chronic does what he wants to, waiting on the dash, not available just yet. Had to use it to engage, so nice body blocks and slows from Gnome, but the flip's still there. Ultimate not gonna be here for Chronic for a little bit, so I think he's gotta let this Athena go.
Doesn't have the ultimate, so won't be able to find that kill. Feels a little bit bad that his cooldowns just weren't quite there, even with 20% CDR from Breastplate of Valor, but still Fable have to hold that loss on the Gold Fury. Just that's the right call every time. You get a double kill, bottom left. You're already close to the Gold Fury. The only deterring factor, I should say, is that LingXiaoWho was very low on mana after that little engagement and couldn't really provide that much DPS. So that's why I love that he stays on the Gold Fury while the rest of Revenge pushes forward and gets those kills. It's Mango, it's Gnome, it's Gino. Let XuenMushh and LingXiao do the actual damage.
Again, the taunt to the Kraken. Auzrik right there started a fight he couldn't handle. He jumps on, and unfortunately for him, Revenge as a unit just lurking in the jungle. Man, Revenge are just doing this so clean. And what's interesting here is Chronic tries to go ahead and invade on the red buff, gets the double stun, but will ultimately have to walk away. The enemy cleans up. What's interesting about what Revenge is doing is that, like you said, I mean, the taunt into the Kraken is not that difficult. But what's more impressive is that we're always seeing it happen, which means Revenge are doing the dirty work of stripping the beads and making sure all of that happens beforehand.
Oh, Davey in a ton of trouble now. Airstrike will confirm it for Gino, who's off to a great start in this one. 4-0. That Ninja Tab by Rush ends up working out for him. Didn't really touch on it, but he didn't go for Hunter's Blessing. Instead, he waited in base for a little bit, finished off his Ninja Tab right away, and then flew in to start at red buff with XuenMushh. And it does lose you a little bit of mid-game pressure, I believe, because you don't have Hunter's Blessing, which is such a great blessing to start with. But now, I mean, he's already got an Executioner done. He's about the same items as Davey, but Davey's build is a bit cheaper, so it ends up being a little bit in Gino's favor overall. And now that he's going to build into crit, if he can get ahead with that and continue to stay ahead, I should say, he's already earned himself a lead. That's going to be difficult to stop.
I mean, right now, with the Executioner versus the Ikaval, I mean, you would say that Shivalanke, depending on how many stacks he has, almost would be the better boxer, despite being down a little bit. But once that first bit of crit is done, yeah. Big taunt into the big team fight. Ling picks up 2 more. All caught up in the ring. Auzrik next on the menu, and we're all eating. Gnome gets the kill right before Mango flies away with just a hair of HP. Wonderful team fight again by Revenge. And again, guys, what's allowing this to look so clean is the fact they're finding those little skirmishes that we might not even get to see because they're so small factor, but they're doing the homework to allow them to come to class the next day and slay it.
Look, Athena Poseidon is a beautiful combo that'll work very, very often, but you have to be the aggressors. These opportunities don't just fall upon you.
Yeah.
How many times has that taunt into Kraken been on Fable's side of the map? Nearly every time, I would reckon. I mean, that has been consistently in the enemy jungle. It is XuenMushh going forward and Ling a little bit behind. Now, we're getting to the point now where Fable are able to beat that Athena initiation. They should be able to kill Ling and XuenMushh pretty easily at this point in the game with their mid-game power spikes, and that's something that Revenge needs to be wary of. But Fable has just been on the back foot every time so far, and that's really credit to Revenge for forcing their opponents to be on the back foot.
Creative build here coming out from the Poseidon player. I love it. I want to hear your thoughts on it, and if you could break it down for us.
A+. Hold that thought, though. XuenMushh is going to ult on the left-hand side. Mango looking to chase down Davey on the left. Both Relics forced and that Darkest of Nights, so Revenge likely happy with that outcome and the teleport.
The TP as well, yeah.
From Chronic, so definitely worthwhile, especially with the Gold Fury being up in about 30 seconds. Now Revenge is going to look to do the exact same thing to Davey with Athena taunt into a Kraken, most likely. Going back to this Poseidon build, I think it's great. You get the early Spear of the Magus. He started with Ring 1, built his boots, then built Spear of the Magus, then went back and finished the Shaman's Ring. These are 3 items that I think should likely just be core on Poseidon right now. I would like to see a Gem of Isolation next, and it looks like he's going for either an Obsidian Shard or a Divine Ruin. Those are fine. I think Divine is probably a little bit better for him here, actually, because of the healing coming from Killy and from ChronicThe Bros, and the lifesteal, of course, from Davey. But overall, I think that the first 3 items work so well in tandem with one another for Ling that you're guaranteeing that the Athena taunt into Kraken is not going to work forever. It really becomes Athena taunt into Whirlpool more than anything else, and that's what these items really enhance.
Let's focus on the crowd, on the CDR. Wants to make an impact first and foremost with those Krakens, and then later on with his other abilities. 11-4 right now. Revenge, the proverbial ball in their court. 4,000 gold in the lead. FableGG trying to tussle here because if they let this Gold Fury go, the game starts to really get out of reach.
Look at how far Davey is because he knows he can't get taunt into Kraken, though Killy will have that happen to him. That's a lot of resources. That's Nemesis ult as well.
And with both of the actives down for the mid laner, you would think that Poseidon has to be careful, but he's just playing it safe on the outside. Gino able to get out of there. 1 for 1 so far. Jungle 4 support. And neither team really healthy enough to look towards the Gold Fury. Actually, Fable might be able to grab this one if ChronicThe Bros plays this right, zoning 3 separate players out. I would love to see Fable go for it.
They're on it right now. Not a lot of DPS quite yet. Gnome is forced to back up. That's just an overcommit from Revenge onto Killy. You either have to use Taunt and Nemesis ult or Taunt and Kraken. You can't use all 3 of those because then Fable gets to just run through the rest of that team fight. And if you are committing that much, you at least have to make sure that Killy doesn't get his ultimate off but he did. And that's what ended up killing Mango with Auzrik's bleed there from the scratchies. That was just an overcommit and a good recognition by Fable. That's a good opportunity to fight, even in a 4v5.
Makes it just unfortunate for Revenge right now. Kelly zoning out with a little pillar so far. So with the Gold Fury going the way of Fable, they're, well, still trailing by 4,000. A little bit less, though. 600 shaved off of that lead. Gold Fury worth a decent amount, but they lose the ensuing, you know, the team fight was not exactly perfect. Losing the support really evened up that much?
No, it's just that Revenge was so far in the lead already that the Gold Fury isn't that relevant. And especially when you look at the fact that experience is really where the lead has manifested itself, more so than the gold.
Well, no, here,
overall.
like, the Gold Fury happened, but the lead went right back into Revenge's favor. Kind of curious as that one.
Well, Revenge split up and farmed the map instead of just sitting around and watching the enemy team do the Gold Fury. Instead, they get a tier 1 tower in left, they get back camps, mid-wave, you know, whatever. And then that ends up being worth a lot of global gold overall that isn't just one big, you know, number that's coming into your pocket.
Really, really interesting mitigation there. A lot of times what we see is when Team A gets the Fire Giant, Team B will let them siege up a lane and then in turn split push and get 2 towers themselves or whatnot. So the same sort of mentality here, but around the Gold Fury this time. Double taunt, double Kraken, double kill. That's the one damn time he didn't get the double kill. Split up between the mid lane and the jungler, but the damage done by the Poseidon. I want to take a look at player damage real quick. And that's exactly what I expected to see. 11-8 for the Poseidon right now, who is 7-0-4. This is the guy driving the truck right now for Revenge.
Man, I really thought that was just a bait from XuenMushh. Pyromancer goes the way of Fable. Nice play there by Chronic, and that's pretty important. But going back to that mid lane engagement, Ling wasn't really that close to that taunt at all. XuenMushh, I believe, was just trying to get purification beads from a couple members. Yeah. Auzrik recognizes this and says, I'll just hold my beads. They won't be able to kill me anyways. And then Ling comes out of nowhere and Krakens him and kills him. Auzrik has his beads still, didn't use them, but doesn't have his life either.
That's a moment as a player that you're sitting there and you're going, I am making the intelligent call here. Look how above average I am. I'm gonna save my beads because there's the threat. Oh, I've outsmarted myself once again. I think we can all relate to that in our own gameplay.
Yes.
You just sit there and you're like, that was the right call. I thought it was. Auzrik and his squad feeling the pain of that one.
You know, I just constantly get punished for playing perfectly. Let me tell you, it's
that story of my life, my friend.
It is. It's a rough life out there.
I'm in gold because I play completely perfectly all the time. ChronicThe bros trying to escape the cage of hell, but 4 players strong will take down the Hercules.
Cost them 3 ultimates to do so. Chronic's awfully tanky, even with just 4 items completed, but they get him. Now, the question is, what do Revenge get off of that kill? It doesn't seem like a whole lot at this point.
Odin Cage feels like a quasi-ultimate to me. It's like, well, right side, killied, getting killied. Feels more akin to Agni Bombs because it's up so often, right? Especially with the high CDR build that Odin's generally build over there in the solo lane. Fire Giant started, and Fire Giant very quickly going to be crushed here. 25%, nobody in range, and the Fire Daddy goes to Revenge.
With only the kill on the Chronic, I was saying Revenge probably don't get that much off of it. With the kill on the Chronic and on the Killy,
yeah,
Gold Fury is not up. Fire Giant is. Let's go for the better objective anyways, because we've got a 5v3. Revenge looking really solid so far, and it's really just off the back of this Poseidon Athena combo. I mean, Mango's done well. Gnome's had some good cages. Gino's played very well in the Jingwei. I'm impressed by his play. But at the same time, none of those dudes get to show up if it isn't for LingXiaoWho and XuenMushh doing what they've done so far.
I think a big issue for Fable was the Bastet selection, and that's interesting because I actually really like Bastet, and I don't have a problem with characters that just do damage as long as you wind up doing it, and that's a trust your player type mentality, and I really like that. The downside, and the reason I don't like this pick, Ryan, is lack of CC immune on the ult. You need that with this comp.
Could have really used it for sure because he just uses beads there in response to the taunt.
And now he's dead to the next taunt. I don't even care if there's a Kraken. Whatever at 24 minutes you get hit by after an Athena taunt, you're toasted. Because Athena's what? Athena's level 15. That taunt is taunting you for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. You don't get to do nothing? Yeah. Get confounded, bro.
It's a good ability. Confounded. That's my analysis. Blink forward from Gnome. Finds a cage onto multiple members. ChronicThe going to toss out that boulder, but doesn't do a whole lot on the backside with that golden apple spread to multiple members of Revenge.
Meanwhile, ChronicThe just pushing players out on the left-hand side. Thorns to make sure players don't turn around. As soon as the Thorns goes down, the Kraken over the wall. Great communication from Revenge there to ensure that the Kraken can come out. Ling does take some damage. Still fine.
Still fine. He's got a Fire Giant buff that can sustain him up. Mango dashes forward, puts out a little bit of poke. That's because the rest of his team is securing that tier 2. Mango still has that ultimate. Waldrom uses the Aegis and the beads in order to get that damage away from him, but
good Terra ult. This
Chili's
is a good Terra ult. Fable
big,
can turn this if they want to right now, Ryan, with the Wrath of Terra. That's Sylvanas, but there's a lot of Wrath in Terra's ultimate right there.
She's got more Fury than Wrath, I'd say.
Yeah?
Yeah, particularly of the earthen quality.
Fury and Wrath are synonyms.
Yeah, but they have. Would you agree that Wrath and Fury have slightly different connotations?
Yes, and that's because I'm a man of nuance and I love the English language. That said,
like Fury, like Wrath is more
a sin,
like anger, like maybe with even without reason. Fury feels like you deserve it somehow.
I don't know if that's where I draw the distinction. I think Wrath and Fury are both like anger mentality. I think Fury just feels more justified to me.
Wrath is much more like blind rage, spray and pray. Just like I'm taking
all creatures, destroy all creatures. They cannot be regenerated.
Yeah, you can't regenerate them, right? This is more like Fury, like I don't know. I don't know.
So this is actually interesting. We just got the exact definitions.
Shouts to Joe, by the way.
Extreme anger is wrath, and fury is uncontrollable, which is really interesting because that's where I was going to go, was that I wasn't sure which one felt it, but there is, like, fury feels just unbridled rage, can't deal with it. I'm a whirlwind of emotion.
Right, but usually that's because something happens. I'm thinking of Frieza killing Krillin, and that sends Goku into his Super Saiyan transformation for the first time. You know what I'm talking about.
I never read Harry Potter.
No, that's Scooby-Doo that you're thinking of, actually. You have read Scooby-Doo, yeah. You were telling me about it the other day. It's your favorite anime.
No, it's the Jetsons.
Oh, that's a good anime, too. That's really solid.
I like the Jetsons and Family Feud.
Family Feud is an unanimated show that I will not even attempt to say is an anime.
Have you ever seen Steve Harvey? Don't tell me that man is not animated.
I wish he was, because that would mean he wouldn't be as real. Come on, Steve Harvey's a bad dude. Like, everyone knows that.
Maybe he is a bad dude. I don't know. I don't know. I will always laugh at the Stone Cold Steve Harvey.
Oh,
moment.
That is a classic.
Out of the classic of the Smite scene. Revenge here, up a slew of kills and a slew of gold, posturing around the Fire Giant, and this is the show we've seen all day. The taunt to do heavy damage. Right now, the Masada doing all that damage pretty much just with the Whirlpool. Wonderful build so far. Went into the Divine Ruin after the fact, and now building into the Gem of Isolation for some control. And of course, this is after the raw penetration from the Spear of the Magus and the Shaman's Ring, which just amplifies what he wants to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to tell you to always purchase Shaman Ring, but look at it twice in the store. Fire Giant down to 25%. Revenge trying to close it out. Killy is local. Need the damage. Kraken's good. Revenge with the Fire Giant. Fable are going to be aggressing into Revenge. And this is a questionable choice, Ryan.
Gnome has that Defender of Olympus channeled onto him by XuenMushh, and Fable realizing they might have lost a little bit of wind out of their sails because everyone from Revenge is still fairly healthy, and the only reason Revenge doesn't turn around and pop him in the mouth for pushing forward is because Ling is so low on the mana.
Yeah, just not able to really provide the damage. Doesn't have the ammo for the artillery.
Whew.
Tier 1 tower not even going to fall here, but Waldrom will. Auzrik on the back trying to do what damage he can, but he's 3-6-0. Just doesn't seem to have it. The Hunter, on the other hand, certainly doing it. Love the jump forward from Gino. He's young and he's rich. 7 kills in a row. Blackjack for revenge. And after the team fight, they're coming down the middle lane.
Man, that was a great team fight from Gino. He comes around the back, immediately crits Waldrom in the back of the head for 600 plus. And for some reason, Fable don't seem intimidated by that at all. They just kind of let Gino free cast that entire team fight. My man just got basically a triple kill and has both relics and his ultimate still available and was the one farthest away from his team.
Yeah.
Overall, Fable just a little bit lost in the last team fight. And the call there to push forward, as I said, it wasn't the call to push forward at Fire Giant, not the best, but it works out because Ling's low on mana. To stick around and try and push tier 1 is just not good.
So I say this a lot, and for what it's worth, I do think that teams kind of, I don't want to say throw in the towel, but shy away from team fights and events that they could take, right?
Sure.
Down 10,000 gold against a Fire Giant, not always the place you want to fight, but depending on circumstances, variables, mana, health, so many different things in a MOBA that you can take advantage of some of those moments.
Yes.
So I don't want to sit here and just completely lambast Fable for like, what are you doing hitting the gas there? Because I think that the mindset was in the right place.
Agreed.
Just the math was off.
You need to have that timer in your head where, okay, we can be aggressive. Okay, let's back it up because we're still down 10K. They have a Fire Giant. They're regenning their mana pool. They're getting healthier. Their ultimates are coming up. By the way, their Jingwei's full build with a crit build, and we don't have any idea where she is. Maybe we shouldn't try and get a 500 gold for our entire team and in the form of a tier 1.
Well...